Hey, what is up guys, Mixoplex here. In today's video, we're going to be doing a farming tutorial. Now we're going to be starting off with the basics and going into more of the advanced stuff later on in the game. So before we get into this, if you enjoy this video or it's helpful in any way, make sure you hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content. So to start things off, we're going to go ahead and start with, I guess, the starter level of farming. Now, minus the base and the background and stuff like this, when you're just starting out in Once Human, farming is really a concept you should try to adopt very early on. So for my recommendations, I recommend you build one wall high and then do kind of like a platform for your builds. So we're going to go ahead and take our planer boxes just like this. Now you want to try and align them as best you can. Now obviously this doesn't matter too much until later on, but once you open the prompt, you'll start to see all the different seeds that you have available. Now some seeds are obviously more rare than others, Moral being one of them. Aloe vera seeds are actually really rare, but it's really dependent on what you're trying to make, and then it will also give you the option for any kind of fertilizer option that you might have available. So we're going to go ahead and plant some corn seeds, and just to kind of show off just exactly how this works. Now we have three separate deviations here. We have the Grow Shroom, the Rain Man, and the Buzzy Bee. Now all three of these are pretty crucial to both early game, mid game, and late game farming, and these are deviations you should try to obtain and just to make your efforts just a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and click the planer box, and we're going to see here is that it desperately needs irrigation. So you can actually add seawater, boiled water, dirty water. For this, we're going to be using pure water, which I've already purified with my current setup in my base. As you can see, the little arrows here moving, you want to stay within the green lines. Now obviously this will deteriorate over time, but we're going to go and deposit this real quick. And as you can see here, we're in the green for irrigation. Now, if you're doing natural sunlight, unfortunately, it is a little bit buggy. When you try to plant these midday, it just doesn't work. So do keep in mind that if it's just showing up 0, just give it some time, let the day cycle finish itself, and it should work. Now we're going to go ahead and look at our deviations that you saw just outside and exactly what they can do. Now, the first one we have here is the Rain Man. Its ability details is hoping for a downpour. Boost the vitality of crops. The higher the deviant energy rating, the greater the vitality. It also provides the right amount of irrigation water. So the moment it decides to go to a crop, it'll immediately give it the exact water that it needs. Very strong, very good early game, and is super easy to obtain. So for the next one, we have the Grow Shroom. Now the Grow Shroom ability details says thriving growth, automatically plant seeds and accelerate crops growth. The higher the deviant energy rating, the faster the growth. So essentially what you can do on the first section or the top section here is you can actually give them a seed, they'll plant it, and then when it's time and it's ready, they'll actually harvest all of this, and all you got to do is claim it. As you can see here in the prompt, all you got to do is just claim it and you're good. But this is something you will have to empty out once you start getting these going. And for the final one, we have the Buzzy Bee. Now the Buzzy Bee is one of the cooler looking ones, and it says deviated gardening and increases the mutation chance of planted crops. The higher the deviation energy level, the higher the mutation chance is. So crops can just be standard crops, but with Buzzy Bees around, you can turn this into a regular crop, into a deviated version of it, which doesn't actually go bad and is usually used for higher end crafts with the kitchen set. So now, where do you find these deviations? Well, let's go ahead and show you exactly where you can find your Grow Shrooms. So if you look on your map, you're going to want to find Sutherland Chemical Plant or High Banks. And in between that, there should be a teleporter that either you've unlocked or you haven't unlocked it yet. So we're going to go ahead and teleport to that immediately. I'll show you just exactly where I like to farm mushrooms. All right, so we're going to go a little bit more south here, and if you ever watch my streams, this is what I call Mushroom Highway. This is one of my favorite locations to farm for mushrooms because it's secluded, there's no NPCs, it's next to a teleporter, and it is really easy to find exactly what you're looking for as it stands out from the crowd. All right, so once you get to the tracks, you're going to want to either get off your vehicle or you can just start walking alongside the tracks, and you'll start to see the mushrooms on the side on both left and right. Now from here, all you got to do is just hit the mushrooms and hope RNG Jesus is on your side. Again, this is just one of those things that it can take a while. You can either get it immediately or it'll take 20 to 30 minutes. It really does depend on your luck. But don't fret though, as the sage, the mushrooms, and anything else around this area can actually be used, but more so the mushrooms can be used for fertilizer later on, if you want to make fertilizer out of it, or you can use it for certain actual fertilizers that you can craft at the supply bench just a little bit later on. So we're going to go ahead and farm this for a little bit, and we'll see if we end up getting a deviation. Now we did actually strike out. I hit every node that I could see. We're going to go ahead and go back to the teleporter, and we're actually going to world hop for resources. Now, if you're not aware of how this works, actually, we're going to go to the teleporter here. We're going to click G, and that's going to switch us to another world. So we're currently on 7. We're going to head and go to 8. And just like that, we're on a whole another world. As you see, there's bases and stuff near this area, but that's perfectly fine. But what this essentially does is allows you to farm for deviations or resources in that area close by to a teleporter. It's actually kind of overpowered in a way, but if you're looking to farm deviations, that's one trick in the book that I hope you actually use. So just like before, we're going to hit up all the mushrooms and hope we get lucky. And just like that, we end up getting a grocery room. That's actually kind of crazy. That took like no time at all. So let's go ahead and check and see what we got. And it is a 3-1-2 traits. That's pretty good, considering that's about on par with what I have back at base. Now the skill rating is what you're wanting to have the highest, and then activity rating is basically how fast they recover from their whatever duty. This now applies also to combat pets, so the higher the top number, the honestly the better. The bottom is equally as important, but the number one is factor should be the top number. So now we're actually going to go and find ourselves a Buzzy Bee. So we're going to head back to the teleporter here, and I'll show you the best location for farming these in a pinch, and one of the locations that I was actually recommended that it turns out to be just insanely strong for finding Buzzy Bees. So we're going to go ahead and look at the map here. Now we're going to go ahead and go just south from where we are right now. We're going to go down to Sunbury Farm. Now there is a teleporter really close to this location, and this farm for these particular deviations is super fast. We're going to go ahead and teleport there now and see if we can get lucky. All right, so once you finally teleport here, you're going to go ahead and deploy your vehicle. Now I really recommend you use your bike for this, because if you use your bike, it's a lot faster. This is one of those, they either get lucky straight off the rip, or it'll take 5 to 6 hops, but regardless, this is so fast. So once you get up this hill, we're gonna go right here, and in between these hay bales is exactly where it spawns. You can immediately just pick it up if it's right here. You'll see it, and if not, I've tried looking for other locations on this farm. I don't think there is one, but this is where almost every time I see it, right in this location. So we're actually gonna go ahead and hop a few more times and see. We're gonna see how long it takes to get our first one. Oh, there we go. Nice. We got lucky. Now this is our third hop, and this is this took maybe about 2 minutes to actually hop for this, and we ended up getting a level 3 Buzzy Bee. Wow, that's actually really good. Go ahead and capture that and see what we end up getting here. We got a 3-2 with a deviation trait. Actually pretty good. I still haven't gotten one 4 or 5. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys end up finding one of these at some point. Please, I would love to see it. I haven't gotten anything above a 4. So getting a 5-5 Buzzy Bee would be huge, but that's our second deviation. Now for our third one, the Rain Man, this one we're actually gonna have to kill an NPC for, so I'll show you exactly where you need to go for this one. So opening our map, we're actually gonna go south of Harborside to the docks. Now you could teleport to Myers Market, but really you're so close, at this point you should just take your bike or your vehicle and just get over there manually. It's not that far of a drive. So from here, we're going to head down to south of Harborside at the docks, and I'll show you just exactly which NPC you need to kill to get the Rain Man. All right, so we've arrived at the docks. We're going to go ahead and clear. It looks like no one's been here, actually. So we're going to go ahead and clear all the little areas here so we're not being annoyed. All right, on the docks here, you see the umbrella right there. That is our NPC called the Rainfall Reaper. Now, all Rainfall Reapers can actually drop this. So let's see if we end up getting lucky. This usually doesn't drop, so I'm actually curious to see if we get lucky here. Oh, and we end up getting it, the Rain Man deviation. Wow, on the first, this usually takes me a while to get one of these, but we actually got it in a 2-1, no traits, but that is perfectly fine, as the skill rating really does. The skill rating is what matters the most here, but that is still really good. Now, if you want to sit here and farm this NPC, I think it's around like a 10-minute timer. Clearly, you could hop worlds if you would like to, but she is always going to be sitting at this particular spot. So that is how you guys get all 3 deviations. Now let's head back to base and we'll talk more about the advanced stuff, more with grow lights, irrigation systems, water, etc. I'll try to explain just how exactly this whole process works once you get the meme points to open it. All right, so we're back at base and we'll get to breaking this down. So we're in the flight mode now. The way you want to set this up at base, if you can get it set up just right, is you want to do a 5x5 setup. Now the core piece here, as you can see, should be cut out, and you shouldn't put a planter here. This is going to be the perfect spot for your irrigation system, should be here for you to use. And then your grow light should be just above it. Now, if you have it in this setup, it works pretty much almost all the time. It does take a little bit of tweaking with the light, but if you place it 2 walls high, you are able to hit every corner of the 5x5. Now, if you end up doing 6x6, 7x7, you will have to actually add an additional light because the corners won't actually be covered by either the irrigation or the light. So do keep that in mind if you're looking to do a huge setup for crops. That's what you have to do, unfortunately. But now with the water pump, you can actually pump water at any location as long as it's not in an oil field or a certain pollution zone. But basically, as long as you have the water pump in the ground, you're good. Now, from the water pump with electricity connected to it, we're going to go ahead and connect the pipe over to our osmosis filter. The dirty water coming from the water pump is going to be put in the filter. And once it's cleaned, it's going to go straight into the water tank. Then we're going to connect the pipes from the water tank over to our irrigation system. And by doing so, this basically sets up a unlimited amount of water. This thing will always fill up. Luckily, it barely, I think it does like one maybe every couple of minutes, or it uses like 1 pure water every couple of minutes. Now you can actually set the value if you look at it. And my recommendation is you do 80 on the irrigation. Now, some seeds, some crops will need very specific things, but honestly, if you need, if you're doing crops like that, I would almost have an area specialized for those kind of crops. But usually most of the things that I've been typically using or planting in my base, it's usually around 80-90 for both irrigation and the grow light. Now, compost bins are a huge thing, so make sure when you have excess amount of food or like meats or whatever, throw them in there, throw them in the container, let them spoil, then take that spoiled meat and make some fertilizer out of it. It's actually super, super good and something you'll need to do long term. If you don't know how to navigate or where a lot of the stuff is, you're gonna have to go to the logistics tab, and you're gonna go to the right side here. And that's basically where the whole farming setup is, including the fertilizers as well. Now, the fertilizers are very important, as some of these allow you to increase growth speed. You get a higher yield when you pick them, just all kinds of stuff. But the most important thing you're gonna want here is grow lights. Grow lights are one of the most important things. Irrigation system is nice, but the grow lights allow you to control the lighting, which is huge because the moment the sun goes down, the crops virtually stop. So grow lights are crucial to having a setup ready to go. Now, how you navigate the irrigation system, we're going to go and look at the rainwater collection system and just follow it all the way down, which will include water filters, which you'll want for your own water, because again, hydration in this game is a thing. You'll want your water pumps as well. And then you'll have your irrigation system, which is so easy to set up. Takes like no power. The only thing you'll need again is just a pure water source, and your crops will be very happy. I do recommend you spend the points to get an osmosis water purifier, as it allows you to stay ahead of the water usage from the irrigation system. Now, if you're wanting to make some fertilizers you're just looking to maybe amplify your crops a little bit, you've learned the fertilizer recipes, you can actually go to your supply bench and you can make some of that stuff very easily. Now, mushrooms are a thing for almost all the fertilizer crafts, which is huge, and is something, again, why I say Mushroom Highway is one of the best. It's one of the easiest places to find bulk mushroom without having to grow it yourself. Now, one of my favorites is probably the breeding boost, just because you get increased seed yield when the plant is fully matured. This is really good for aloe, morels. There's a couple of seeds out there that are very rare, and this allows you to get those in bulk very quickly. All right, so there you guys have, that is my little farming tutorial. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something from this video, or how to find the deviations and how to set things up in my eyes correctly. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a comment down below. Consider subscribing as well for more Once Human content and guides and stuff like that. And maybe stop by our Twitch streams, which we've been streaming way too much Once Human. So if you have any questions relating to the game, make sure you stop by one of the live streams. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.